live, 0, 0, 1, live.
الحمد لله رب العالمين صلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولي الصالحين المتقين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. This is the continuation of our class in the Tafsir of Imam Jalaalain, and we're still with Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Al-Fatiha. Last class, we went back and we talked about the statement of Imam al-Sibawayh, rahimahullah ta'ala, which Imam al-Sibawayh was one of the big scholars in al-Islam, but he became known قد اشتهر بعلمه في اللغة العربية. He became famous for his knowledge of the Arabic language with regards to al-Nahu, which means why the sentence structure changes, or sarf, Ozan Af'al, how the verb patterns change, and the balagha, the deep way of conveying messages and different phrases or meanings in a shorter form than the normal way that you would state that thing. So this civil way, when he talked about the meaning of the name Allah, which all of the scholars say huwa lafdhu yani jalala, huwa lafdhu ismu Allah, huwa ismu alam, meaning that it is name that represents Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the one who he knows all, and he is the one la mahbud bihaqin. No one should be reverenced or worshipped. No one should be taken as a mahbud, something to be deified or worshipped except him subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the Imam al-Sibawayh, he mentioned Allahu huwa arifu ma'arif. Huwa arifu ma'arif. He is the one who's most acquainted with those things to be acquainted with, or most aware of those things to be aware of. And we said that some people, they try to say this is from the names and attributes of Allah, yani al-Mu'arif, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the Quran, يَعْرِفُ مَا يَلِجُ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَمَا يَنْزِلُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ, that Allah, He is aware. يَعْرِفُ, Allah mentioned this. يَعْرِفُ, what goes up and what comes down, what goes up to the heavens, words, statements, devotion, deeds, and what comes down, the angels, the decree of Allah, the rain, and so forth, the air. And then Allah said, وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ, and He's with you wherever you may be. So the ulama, they says firstly here, يَعْرِفُ, here, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's general and it's particular. Here, this is general, that Allah Azza wa Jalla ya'rifu kulli shay. This is included in His name, Al-Alimu, that Allah ya'rifu kulli shay. He's aware, He's acquainted. And Allah Azza wa Jalla huwa ma'akum aynama kuntum. This means bi'ilmihi wa basarihi, now with His knowledge and His seeing, was sam'ihi, is hearing, like this. The ulama, they mentioned. Because at the end of the ayah, Allah said, وَاللَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ, and Allah sees what you do. So that's how you know the meaning that Allah is with you means with His seeing, because He ended the ayah with that attribute, basir, seeing everything on the surface, underneath, and like this. As for the hadith of the Prophet, the long hadith, and the hadith of Imam al-Tirmidhi, and others collected it. Also, Imam Ahmad in his Musnadi, and others, where Imam an-Nawawi collected it as the 19th of his 42 hadith, where the Prophet said, Ta'arafu billahi fi rakha, ya'rifuka fi shidda, fi shidda, ya'rifuka fi shidda. Ta'arifu, ta'arafu, ta'arafu, ala wasn't ta'awanu, ta'arafu. So here ta'arafu means to know Allah mutually in good times and bad times. This is the wasn't ta'arafu. It's like ta'awanu. Now, tajahadu, tajahadu, ta'awanu. The origin of those words, there were two ta'awanu. But تقلب يعني تاءين تاء واحدا. They said لسهولة, to make it easy to pronounce. They drop, the Arabs would drop one of the ties, but the origin of this form has two ties. The one ta, ta, one ta means doing the action, the other ta means somebody else is doing. Ta'awanu, two people mutually doing communication. Tatabagadu, two people having hostilities towards one another. Tatahabu, two people mutually showing love. Now, which they drop one time, it becomes tahabu. Now, so here, this form of the word is relevant when you talk about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying ta'arafullah. Get that person who knows Allah, but the Prophet emphasized fi, because this is what people would do when it's good. They know Allah, they pray, they fast, but then when the hardship comes, they turn away. And sometimes now in this day and time, it's the opposite. People turn away from Allah in good times. When hardship comes, then they ask Allah, and then if He lifts it, they go back. So it goes both ways. But here the Prophet was talking about those people who they have enough good and enough iman and enough fortitude that when goodness is upon them, they remember Allah. And when the hardship comes, they need Allah's help. The way that Allah is going to help them, the Prophet said, Ya'rifuka. He used the term arifa, to know, to be aware. Ya'rifuka. Allah will not abandon you, the scholar said. And it's not that He doesn't know you, because whether you remember Allah, know Allah, obey Allah or not, He knows. He knows everything. So here, Ya'rifuka means Lam yani yatrukaka. He won't abandon you. Lam يجعلكم يعني صفرا. He won't leave you with zeros. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned in Allah yastahi and yamuddu yaday and yamuddu abdihi yadayhi إلى السماء ويردهم صفرا وكما قال, that Allah is too embarrassed, too shy to let His servant raise his hands up to his Lord, and then when He brings them down after supplicating that He has no answer, He has nothing, no benefit, no resolve out of that supplication. So here, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's prophet, when he said Ya'rifuka fi shidda, means Allah won't abandon you. Allah will answer you. Allah sayansurukum wa yu'inukum wa yuwafikum. Naam, He will help you, He will aid you, He will make you on the right track, facilitate for you. So some people use that hadith to say, see, the likes of Imam Sibawayh when he said Allah huwa al-arifu al-ma'arif. And Shaykh Ukkasha he said that's wrong, because when you use the word al-arif as it relates to Allah, he said then this term al-arifu ma'arif, al-arifu, Shaykh Uthaymin said it has two meanings. It has the meaning of ilm wa dhan. Where when you say Allahu al-alimu, then it only means ilm. The word alim can't also mean dhan, but arif, an arif could mean the one who knows, or he is guessing, or he's not sure of what he thinks he knows. That's intrinsic in the word of arif. So that point we mentioned the last time. We also said, as the Imam he mentioned in Mahali, Hamdu Lillahi is Jumlatu Qabriyan, is given information about Allah. Jumlatu Qabriya is given information about Allah. And Alameen, we said it is what's called Jamu Mu'annith Salim. Jamu Mu'annith Salim is a type of plural. Either it's with a wow in the noon, or a ya in the noon. And here the ulama, they said it's with a wow in the noon normally, but here Allah revealed it with a ya in the noon, because that form of the word alamun, which changed to alameen, they said aqlabu khalqihi fi hadhi sigha hum uqula. This represents mostly those who have intellect. So when Allah says Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, He's not negating that He's the Lord of al-Jamudat, those things that don't have a soul, like a tree and a stone and a mountain and sand. That's part of Alameen as well, because al-Alimun Huwa Siwa Allah. It's everything besides Allah is called Alamun. So I'm Alamun, you're Alamun, the son is Alamun. It's part of that plural. But when Allah is talking here, Rabbul Alameen, then Allah is really speaking to those that have intellect, that can worship Allah, they can praise Allah. And first in line is the Malaika. Second is the jinns. They were created secondly. They can worship Allah or disobey Allah. The angels can't disobey, but they can obey. So they have aql. And the human beings, of course, we have intellect. We can discern between right and wrong. We can worship Allah, disobey Allah. And then as Imam Shawkani added the fourth, he separated the general category of jinn from the shayateen. He said, what shayateen? Number 4. From alameen, the shayateen, the devils. So this we mentioned last time, and this is a plural. Jamu Mu'annath Salim, that means a plural with a waw and a noon. Sometimes it's changed with a ya and a noon. You have Jamu Taqsir, Jamu no, this is Jamu Mudhakkar Salim. Asif, this is Mu'annath. This is Jamu Mudhakkar Salim. Mudhakkar Salim. Jamu Mu'annath Salim would be Samawati. Samawat. So that's what's considered Jamu Madha Mu'annath Salim. But here, Jamu Madha Mudhakkar Salim is Alamun or Alameen. Now, so we mentioned the last time. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, and that part, the Mahali, he mentioned about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said that Allah, He is Rahman Rahim. And Mahali, he mentioned, as it relates to Rahman Rahim, he just said that this name of Allah, Rahman, he said, هو فعل لازم. هو فعل لازم, that means that when someone wants good, then Allah has to give them good. Certain attributes of Allah, they are because someone did something, and then you have those attributes that no matter what, Allah has to do that, like being just and kind. This is fi'l lazim. Allah has made it compulsory upon Himself. He can't do anything else. But Allah is just and kind, whether we do something to not deserve it or we do something to deserve it. Allah is going to be like that automatically. So He said, Imam Mahali, the Rahman Rahim, He said fi'l lazim, that Allah لا يريد بها إلا الخير, that Allah, He only wants by this name, attribute, goodness. So in other words, if you ask Him, He's only going to guide you. If you ask Him, He's only going to forgive you. If you ask Him, He's only going to give you. Why? Because the name of Rahman, the one who has the mercy, and Rahim, the one who gives it, He said this fit the lazim. But as ulama, they mention when they give a taqiq to this, that we don't only say that Rahman or Rahim fit lazim, that no, because we believe what Allah Azza wa Jal said about Himself with regards to those names. And when Allah Azza wa Jal, His Prophet mentioned this, when Allah mentioned in the Quran, then we don't just say fit lazim, Allah, He only intends khayr. We say no, that Allah is Rahman and Ar-Rahim. You don't have to add fit the lazim, but you should still remember to affirm it if Allah says it and His Messenger sallam about Himself. So that's a point that when you talk about aqidah needs to be emphasized. Don't just say fit the lazim. And the Rahman is the one who has the mercy. That's the meaning of Rahman. Allah wasn't fa'lan. If you say somebody has something on this verb scale, that means he possesses it at that moment. So if you say huwa ghadban, that means he has the anger right now. If you say huwa jo'an, that means he has the hunger right now. So if you say yani ar-Rahman, that means the one who owns Rahma. في ذاته هو الذي يعني عنده رحمة الجميع. As the scholars have said, He has mercy for all of His creation. You talk about everyday necessities, that's in the category. When you talk about being able to breathe, that's in the necessity. That's everyday necessities that fall under that category. He's being the one who has mercy for all of His creation. Resources you need, water, food, shelter. This Allah Azza wa Jal giving you oxygen and the way He made your body, things you need. This all shows He is the one who has the mercy. Now, He is the one who has the mercy. Rahim, they said, this is the one, Yu'ti Rahma. He is the one, Yu'ti Rahma. He gives the mercy. So Rahman, on one hand, is the word that represents He has the mercy. And it's both a name and an attribute of Allah. And Rahim is the one who's given the mercy, and it's a name and attribute of Allah. And the ulama, they said Rahman and Rahim, both of them, they are derived from the root word Rahma, Mushtaq. Rahman Rahim, هذان اسمان صفتان يشتق من الكلمة رحمة, or derived from the word Rahma, or should say Raham. Now, come from Raham or يعني يشتق من كلمة يعني Raham, the one يعني, or Rahma. The one, the Rahma, it come from the root word Rahma, and from Rahma you have Rahm, yani the lady, yani Rahm, she has a womb. Why is it called that in Arabic? Because it's the place of compassion for a baby that can't do anything. Yani Rahmaha. her womb. Rahm, yani her place of compassion for the baby she's carrying. So Rahma, from that root word, is Rahman, Ar-Rahman, and Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman wasn't yani Fa'al, and Rahim wasn't Fa'il. One who's giving a lot of mercy. This is denoted in the verb and the action and the name Ar-Rahim. So the mistake here, the ulama said, Imam Hali said, هو يعني اسم هو صفة لازم صفة لازم يعني like you know he has to, just because of that name, give you khair, but Allah musta'an, it's yani, whether you say that and you add that Allah says Rahman and Rahim, this is the proper aqidah. He said it's not a fi'l lazim. Okay, so that means it doesn't exist? No, it exists. He's a Rahman and Rahim. Malik Yom ad-Din, we'll run over that. Malik, Malik, the one who owns. And Allah said, Ain al-Maluk Yom al-Hada. And we are the true owners on this day. And Malik means the one, Yahkum, yani, ويؤتي يعني الناس جزاءهم يوم جزاء. He's the ones who are going to give jazaa. It means you're going to get your recompense. So al-Malik, ala wazn fa'il, al-Fa'il, al-Malik, the one who's going to do that, give you and judge you, because he owns you, but he also owns the rulership, the last decision to give you. Where Malik just means he owns you. And they're like interchangeable, Malik and Malik, and they're both two ways to read Al-Fatiha, Malik Yawm al-Din or Malik Yawm al-Din. As the ulama, they said, Hadani Qira'atani Sahihani. Two reported ways to read Al-Fatiha. So if somebody says Malik Yawm al-Din, don't think he's making a mistake. And if someone says Malik Yawm al-Din, don't think he's right and the other person is wrong. And if you hear Malik Yawm al-Din from the same person and Malik Yawm al-Din, don't think he forgot or he's making a mistake. What is he doing? Both of them are right. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. Imam Mahali, he says, يختص الله سبحانه وتعالى يختص لك هذا وليس لأحد إلا هو. لا، قال يختصك يعني بهذا، يختصك بهذا. This يختصك بهذا means that Allah made it just for you, that as a human, this is something like a special thing Allah, He did for you by sending the ayat in this form, Iyaka, because this is a form that has some significance to how it's worded. You could say this in a lot of ways. Iyaka na'budu. You can say la na'budu illa iyaka. Normally, in the proper Arabic sentence, the pronoun comes last. Here, the pronoun is the ka. And you hear ka, kif halu ka. So, iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. The ka is at the beginning of the ayah. But in Arabic, the way that a person would say this, if he's talking from a grammatical standpoint, he will say la na'budu. Like you say la ilaha. This is the proper way. If you're going to deny something, negate something, you start with the negation. La ma'buda. There's no deity. You negate it. Then say illallahu, except Allah. Then the exception comes at the end. Likewise, if you're going to deny something, la na'budu. La na'budu illa iyaka. After the negation, the exception comes. So really, grammatically, it should be لا نعبد إلا إياك ولا نستعين إلا يعني إياك in Arabic. But because if you put the pronoun إذا تقدموا نعم إذا تقدموا نعم الضمير فهذا يجعل الصيغة في اللغة العربية الحصر هو تعين بهذا الشيء. نعم تعين وهو يعني حصره يعني إذا تقدموا ماذا الضمير في أول جملة. If you put the pronoun first, then it makes it absolute. It makes it absolute. If you say لا نعبد إلا إياك, that still leaves room in the Arabic language for maybe something else grammatically. But if you bring the pronoun first, iyaka, and then put what you want to negate, na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in, then here there's no negation. You're actually affirming only. And when you affirm like this, the negation is already locked in totally. But if you say, la na'budu illa iyaka, then there's still room grammatically to have some type of maybe doubt about it, or someone else can come and bring some type of idea behind it. But with the way that the wording is, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين, with the إياك at the beginning, the kaf at the beginning, then this includes the يعني إثبات والنفي. It includes the itbat wa nafi, and you have to have them both when you talk about the tawheed of Allah. That's why you can't say la ilaha, there's no God, and stop. You have to say illallah, except Allah. You can't say Allahu ilahun and stop. You can't say wala, and you have to say wala ghayru, and nobody but him. Now, ithbat wa nafi. هذا يعني الركن الواحد في الشهادة الإثبات والنفي. And this is one pillar, to negate any deities other than Allah and to affirm Him. So when you say إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين, it does it both. Whereas if you would have said, if it was revealed, لا نعبد إلا إياك, then somebody could say, يعني ومحمد. Because grammatically there's room to leave something else to go with exception. But the way Allah قدموا يعني ضمير حصره يعني على إطلاق, He made it to be understood when you read it, absolutely nobody except Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for Imam Mahali to say يختصك يعني بهذا, that He made it only for you? No, that's no. He didn't just make it only for you, but Allah قدموا الضمير للحصر يعني على الحصر يعني يعني من باب يعني إثبات والنفي في التوحيد, to make sure that it is absolute in the يعني worship of Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some other points ulama they mentioned also, they said Yaka na'bud, yani that yani in the issue of ibadah is yani ista'ana, but Allah wanted to show that total reliance on Him is greater than relying on Him and then the creation. While relying on Him solely and then relying on the creation, Juzian, yani Juzian here partially for something they're able to do with all of the rules involved, it's okay. But the strongest, and we know this from Surah Yusuf, how he got blamed and how he stayed in jail 7 years longer because he asked somebody to put in a word for him. So Allah mentioned Iyaka na'bud wa Iyaka nasta'in, because from the strongness of someone's iman is that you only depend on Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. While you depend on Allah, if you ask the creation first, this is proper, but to only ask Allah and not to use the allowability after depending on Allah will make a way through something. And people that you don't ask people, this is stronger. So Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned that, and that He will surely give you if you depend upon Him alone without the allowance of depending upon Him alone and then seeking help through others. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Imam al-Mahali said هذا هداية إرشاد. هذا هداية إرشاد. He said this إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. The next ayah اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. He said the guidance here means irshad. But we know this is wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. So here Allah mentioned two types in this ayah. And the ulama, they said this ayah was revealed talking about Abi Talib. Allah told the Prophet, إنك يا محمد لا تهدي من أحببت. You do not guide those who you love. And it's not in your hand. ليس بيدك يا محمد and تهدي من تحب ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. So he has two types of guidance in this ayah. The first one, Allah is telling the Prophet hidayah to tawfiqiyya. Tawqifiyya means that Allah makes that person accept the guidance. So when you say ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, it's not just hidayah to irshad. No, showing irshad here means someone directing you. Like you say, I'm trying to find the nearest gas station. Somebody tell you, okay, go down at the light and make a right and go 2 more lights and you should see it on the right. But you get to the light, you say, I don't trust that person. Then you go through the light, you don't make it right. He directed you. This is the first type of guidance. Irshadiyah. But he couldn't compel you and force you to take the guidance. So when you say, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, Allah revealed that guidance that we're asking for them to be of two types. Irshadiyah or Tawqifiyah. Tawqifiyah means Allah guides you to accept the guidance. And not that Allah bless the guidance to be brought to you. That's the one that is irshadiyah. And Imam Hali mentioned that. Huwa hidayah to irshadiyah. And this again is one of the ta'rif of Ahl al-Bid'ah. It's one of the ta'rif of those people of the Mu'taziliyah. They deny some of the names of Allah, His attributes, His actions, what He does, and like this. Very important. If it was Hidayah to Irshadiyah, then Abi Talib would have became Muslim. But this ayah clearly is not talking about Irshadiyah. It's talking about Irshadiyah or Tawqifiyah. Two types of هنا هدى هدايتين هدايتين أي إرشادية وتوقيفية. نعم توقيفية، نعم هذا بيد الله. أما إرشادية الله عز وجل بارك الله فيكم جعل هذا بمشيئته في يد الإنسان وقف الكتب والتوقيفية. توقيفية هذا بيد الله يهدي من يشاء. نعم هكذا. In the last ayat, صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Imam Mahali said غير المغضوب عليهم. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Again said, Imam Mahali said this is يعني Hidayatul Irshadiyya. But the ulama they said no, this ayat means Hidayatani, Irshadiyya or Tawqifiyya. Irshad, someone to show you. Tawqif, you to accept. And that last one is only in the hands of Allah. That's why I said, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after that ayat, صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ. Now this is the ulama mentioned al-Islam. يعني كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في حديث ثبت عنه الصراط هو الإسلام. نعم. And then he said يعني غير المغضوب عليهم. He said غير المغضوب عليهم in the Arabic language has a badal min badal. Badal meaning Allah Azza told you to do something, but then He tells you the opposite. So He told you to ask for Hidayatul Irshadiyya or Tawqifiyya. Then He explained what qabr, what sifa, lima, كيف وكان صفة هذه هداية. يعني صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم هذا صفة لهداية. ثم بدء عن هؤلاء الصالحين الفاسقين, the opposite of those who أنعم الله عليهم, those who لا يمون عليهم الله سبحانه وتعالى وهم يعني المغضوب يعني ولا الضالين. So Imam Mahali here mentions this is a good point in the Lugha. Badal غير هنا badal meaning it shows you the opposite, and this is the proof that we shouldn't try to be like al-maghdub wala yani الضالين, because the badal من آية السابقة, the ayah before this, يعني صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. So if that's what Allah is saying, then غير هنا بدل عن يعني الصالحين وهداية الذي ندعو الله به. It's the opposite of the guidance we ask Allah for. Why would we then in the end follow a maqdoob and the waladhalin? Allah musta'an. So badal in the Lughat al-Arabiyyah it's showing opposite. هو قبر لي يعني ماذا هؤلاء الفاسقين. And lastly, Imam al-Mahali said that the مغضوب عليهم, this is المغضوب بمعنى يعني الذين يعاقبهم الله. Why say مغضوب بمعنى الذين يعاقبهم الله? Because they want to ينفون عن الله أنه يغضب. They want to deny that Allah He becomes angry. Just like you read in Yanfo, من الله أنه يحب, won't take away the sifat that Allah He loves. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَغَضِبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَعَنَهُم. Now, Allah Azza mentioned this in the Quran clearly. وَغَضِبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. Clearly. So we can't deny it. Can't say the ghadab here بمعنى يعني يعاقب. And that's why when you see in some translations of Quran, especially the old Yusuf Ali, غير مغضوب عليهم, said, not the path of those who earn your wrath. هذا ليس بمعنى صحيح, لأن هذا عقاب يعني ماذا في الآخرة. أما في هذه الدنيا يعني ماذا الموضوع الغضب. When تتوب إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى وتصلح, يعني خلاص رفع منكم يعني غضب الله. أما العقاب ولو كان جزئيا في الدنيا, العقاب هنا بمعنى يوم القيامة, فليس بمعنى هذا.
فهي والضالين يعني كما ذكر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم المغضوب فإنهم بيهود والنصارى فإنهم عليه الصلاة والسلام بأنهم يعني المغضوب اليهود آسف فإنهم بأنهم يهودية غضب الله عليهم لأنهم يعلموا ولا يعمل به يعلموا ولا يعمل به يعلموا they know ولا يعمل به وأما النصارى هم الذين ضالون لا يعلموا ولكن يعملوا بانحراف وعلى الزيغ والبدعة ولأجل ذلك وصفهم الله سبحانه وتعالى بأنهم ولا الضالين لكن في حقيقة الأمر كل من يعني صنفينهم مغضوب والضالين في نفس الوقت كل من عنده شيء من العلم ولا يعمل به فهو مغضوب وكل من يعني ماذا يعبد الله سبحانه وتعالى على انحراف وعلى زيغ وعلى يعني الظن والله المستعان حاشا لله هو يعني ماذا ضالين ولأجل ذلك the last point Abdullah Mubarak mentioned من فسد من علماؤنا وفيهم تشبه من اليهود ومن فسد من عبادنا ففيهم تشبه من النصارى. Now, whoever has knowledge from amongst us, the Muslims, and he doesn't practice it, then he takes kit'a من تشبه بهؤلاء اليهود. هو جزء داخل في هذه الآية. If you have knowledge as a Muslim, you don't practice it, you imitate the Yahud وزاد عليه والشيطان and the shaitan Iblis la'natullah alayh. And if you have no knowledge but you try to do and you try to worship, then you imitate Abdullah Mubarak. He said the يعني ماذا النصارى لأنهم يعبدون الله على غير العلم. فنختم بهذا التفسير سورة الفاتحة من تفسير جلالين جلال الدين المحالي العلامة الإمام جلال الدين المحالي وجلال الدين الإمام يعني ماذا العلامة السيوطي ونسأل سبحانه وتعالى يتقبل منا ويحفظ عنا كثير ويجزينا يعني بأعمالنا صالحا ونسأل سبحانه وتعالى أن يحق الحق الحق ويبطل الباطل إنه سميع الدعاء وسبك نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا والحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك يا رب العالمين. Anything I said of good is from Allah and anything I said wrong is from myself وَذَا الشَّيْطَانُ وَاللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ بَرِيءٌ مِّنْهُ. واحد يؤذن إن شاء الله جزاك الله خير.
You want me to do that?
Yes. You gave me the phone, right? That's what you were doing. I heard the phone.
No, I didn't touch it.
Oh, okay. My bad. Sorry about that.
You want me to end it?
Stand here.
Okay.
Yes, please have this one.
Yeah, I'll just bring the stand because it's black again.
Thank you.
10:03 p.m. Power off. Power off.
Yeah. You want me to take the phone off the stand? And give it to
Yeah, no, I got it. It's still going, probably.
Live.